In the vast expanse of the galaxy, the Sunspire Academy stood as a symbol of knowledge and discovery. A prestigious institution where species from across the stars gathered to share wisdom and push the boundaries of science, Sunspire was home to some of the brightest minds in the universe. Among them was Dr. Alara Vance, a human xenobiologist whose work had gained attention for her unique perspective on human resilience. Humans were known across the galaxy by many named survivors, warriors, and even the Immortal Deathworlders. The phrase was a combination of awe and fear, but for Alara, it was a subject of fascination. Her research focused on understanding why humans had survived the harshest environments, not just on Earth, but throughout their history. She had an analytical mind and a deep curiosity about how human nature had evolved in response to extreme conditions. One morning, Alara was called to the office of Chancellor Callus, the head of Sunspire Academy. Callus, a towering alien of crystalline form with multiple eyes, was a being of great intellect and authority. His usual calm demeanor was replaced with a hint of urgency as he handed her an assignment unlike any other. A rare and ancient alien artifact had been discovered on a remote moon in the Andromeda sector. The artifact was said to hold knowledge that could potentially alter the balance of power in the galaxy, and the Chancellor wanted Alara to study it. As the mission was described to her, Alara felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The artifact was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was a piece of alien technology so old that its origin was unknown, and its purpose was a mystery. The potential to unlock ancient secrets that could change the fate of civilizations, was too great for any scientist to ignore. Alara knew this was a pivotal moment in her career. Upon reaching the excavation site, located on a barren, desolate moon far from the center of galactic civilization, Alara felt the weight of the task ahead. The excavation team, a mix of alien scholars and human researchers, had already uncovered part of the artifact. But it was clear that no one had fully understood its significance. As Alara approached the structure, she could feel something unsettling in the air. It wasn't just the cold or the isolation of the moon. There was a strange energy emanating from the artifact itself, as if it were alive, waiting to be understood. When Alara finally accessed the core of the artifact, she found something unexpected, a hidden message. The message wasn't in any known language, yet Alara's training allowed her to decode it. The text was a warning, written in an ancient script that seemed to shift and change as she read it. The message spoke cryptically about a coming storm, an event that would force every civilization in the galaxy to confront humanity's role. The words were clear, though shrouded in mystery: the Immortal Deathworlders will awaken. The time of reckoning approaches. What you fear, they will become. The implications of the message were staggering. For centuries, humanity had been viewed with a mix of admiration and fear. Their resilience, their ability to adapt and thrive in the harshest of environments, had earned them the title of Immortal Deathworlders. To the alien races, humans were both a symbol of strength and a potential threat. But this message hinted at something far darker. What did the storm mean? And what was this awakening the message spoke of? As Alara processed the warning, the reality of the situation hit her. It wasn't just an academic pursuit anymore, it was a race against time. This discovery was far more than a scientific breakthrough. It was the beginning of something that could change everything. The artifact's message had set off a chain of events that would soon involve not just Alara, but various alien factions that had long viewed humanity from a distance. Some factions, like the enigmatic and powerful Tothari, a race known for their military might, saw the message as an opportunity to control humanity's fate. Others, like the peaceful and highly intellectual Velasi, wanted to understand the implications of the warning and prevent conflict. But Alara was caught in the middle, unsure of who to trust. As she tried to make sense of the message, she began to notice strange occurrences. Cryptic signals, hidden alliances, and political maneuvering began to unfold within the Academy. Her research had drawn attention from powers that were not interested in simply studying the message, but were eager to use its potential for their own agendas. The more Alara dug into the artifact's origins, the more she realized that humanity's immortal nature wasn't just a label, it was a deeply ingrained part of their history, one that had affected the galaxy in ways she had never imagined. The message hinted that humanity's past, filled with violence, survival, and resilience, was not just a testament to their strength, but a forewarning of something darker to come. With each passing day, the tension between the alien factions grew. Whispers filled the corridors of Sunspire Academy. What would happen if humanity's hidden potential was fully awakened? Could they control it? Or would the galaxy be torn apart by the very forces that made humans so formidable? Alara had only begun to scratch the surface, but one thing was clear. Something was coming, and humanity's role in it was far more significant and far more dangerous than anyone had ever expected. The storm had begun to brew, and Alara had unwittingly become its harbinger. As she left the excavation site, her mind raced with the possibilities. The future of humanity and the fate of the galaxy would soon hinge on her ability to unravel the mysteries of the artifact and to determine whether humanity's past would be its salvation or its doom. After Alara's discovery on the barren moon in the Andromeda sector, she returned to Sunspire Academy with the artifact in tow, eager to dig deeper into its secrets. The feeling of awe that had gripped her upon first decoding the warning message was quickly replaced by the weight of responsibility. She now carried a knowledge that could change the course of history, but with that knowledge came an undeniable sense of dread. The Academy, which had once felt like a haven of peace and intellectual pursuit, now seemed to pulse with an undercurrent of tension. Alara's research into the artifact attracted far more attention than she ever expected. Classified information about humanity's past began to surface in the most unexpected ways. Documents, encrypted files, and even rumors about Earth's violent history and humanity's supposed reputation as the Immortal Deathworlders spread like wildfire through the Academy. At first, it seemed like just a coincidence, but soon Alara realized it was something much more deliberate. Alien factions, some of which Alara had only read about in ancient texts, began to reach out to her. Most of them were more interested in the potential power that the artifact represented than in the pursuit of knowledge. Yet, among these factions, one in particular caught her attention: the Zothar, a reptilian species whose ancient lineage stretched back millennia. The Zothar were not a race to be underestimated. Their reputation for cunning and power was known across the galaxy, but what made them particularly dangerous was their ability to manipulate events from the shadows. Their proposal was simple: an alliance with humanity to prevent the coming storm referenced in the artifact's message. They claimed to possess ancient technology so advanced that it could shield humanity from the disastrous consequences that the artifact had foretold. Their words were smooth, and their promises seemed genuine, but Alara couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. As she spent more time with the Zothar diplomats, their offer seemed too good to be true. They spoke of humanity's untapped potential, of their ability to rise above the storm that was coming. But the more they spoke, the more Alara began to question their true intentions. The Zothar's technology, although promising, came with a heavy cost. It would erase the very essence of humanity's unique nature. To survive the coming storm, humanity would need to shed its violent past, its very identity as Deathworlders. The Zothar suggested that this process could be achieved through the use of neural reprogramming, a technology that could modify human memories, emotions, and instincts. The idea of altering humanity's core being felt like a betrayal of everything Alara had spent her life studying. The humans she knew were survivors, not perfect, but capable of enduring any challenge. Stripping away what made humans human, even in the name of survival, seemed like a dangerous road to take. Was this the price humanity would have to pay to avoid the cataclysm? Or was it just another way for the Zothar to assert control over a species they viewed as a threat? As Alara wrestled with these questions, she made a discovery within the artifact that sent chills down her spine. Deep within the encrypted data, the file contained information about a human agent, an individual who had played a significant role in shaping the galaxy's perception of humanity. This agent, whose name was redacted from the files, had orchestrated conflicts, manipulated events, and even fostered intergalactic tensions, all with the goal of elevating humanity's reputation as the Immortal Deathworlders. It became clear that the fear of humanity's violent nature had not been created by the galaxy's other species, but by a human mastermind who had manipulated the entire galaxy into seeing humans as both a threat and a potential tool of power. The agent's actions, it seemed, were designed to create an aura of mystery and fear around humanity, a reputation that would allow humans to rise to the top of the galactic hierarchy. But what if this reputation had been built on lies, on deceit? What if humanity's darkest history had been intentionally amplified to serve a greater, more sinister agenda? The discovery of the human agent's role in shaping the galaxy's view of humanity opened up a flood of questions. Alara felt trapped between two opposing forces: the Zothar, offering her a way to protect humanity by altering its very identity, and the moral dilemma of uncovering the truth about humanity's past. She could no longer ignore the possibility that the artifact wasn't just a warning of an impending disaster. It might be the key to exposing the conspiracy that had been at the heart of humanity's rise to power. As Alara dug deeper into the artifact's secrets, the political situation around her began to unravel. She realized that the other factions of the galaxy were not just interested in the artifact for its knowledge, they were interested in controlling it. The Tothri, a powerful and militaristic species, had begun to take a more aggressive interest in her work. They saw the artifact as a tool to either destroy or manipulate humanity to further their own goals. Meanwhile, the Velasi, a peaceful and philosophical species, warned Alara that the price of gaining such knowledge could be greater than she was prepared to pay. Tensions between the factions began to rise, and Alara's position became increasingly precarious. Every decision she made felt like it was pushing her further into a political web she didn't fully understand. What if the storm the artifact warned about wasn't just a galactic disaster? It was a conflict driven by the manipulation of information, a war fought over the truth of humanity's legacy. Alara realized that, in her pursuit of the truth, she might be playing a much larger part in this conflict than she had ever anticipated. Faced with these revelations, Alara was forced to confront a difficult choice. Should she align with the Zuthar and risk losing what made humanity truly human, or should she continue her research into the artifact and expose the truth, potentially sparking an all-out galactic war? The lines between friend and foe had begun to blur. Her allies could be her enemies, and her enemies could be the ones trying to save humanity from itself. The stakes were higher than ever, and Alara found herself questioning everything she thought she knew about humanity, the artifact, and the future. What was the true cost of knowledge? And what was she willing to sacrifice in order to uncover the truth? The answers were not clear, and with every passing day, the storm that had been foretold seemed to draw closer. The decision had been made. Alara stood at the precipice of her new reality, having severed ties with the academic council and fully aligned herself with the Zothar faction. Her heart still struggled with the weight of that choice, but she had convinced herself it was the only way to prevent the galactic cataclysm foretold in the artifact's message. The Zuthar's warnings of an impending storm had seemed too urgent, too real to ignore. Humanity needed to change. They needed to prepare for whatever was coming, and the Zuthar's technology, despite its questionable cost, was the only answer. The Zuthar had promised to shield humanity from the coming disaster, but the deeper Alara immersed herself in their culture, the more she realized the true nature of their proposition. What they had offered her wasn't protection, it was manipulation. The Zuthar were skilled in more than just technological advancements. They were masters at understanding the weaknesses of other species. Over centuries, they had learned to exploit these weaknesses to their advantage, and now they had their eyes set on humanity's greatest strength, the violent, chaotic resilience that defined Earth's Deathworlders. As Alara delved deeper into their research, she began to uncover disturbing truths. The Zuthar didn't just want to protect humanity from the storm, they intended to weaponize humanity's nature. The coming storm wasn't just a natural disaster or a galactic war, it was an opportunity. An opportunity for the Zuthar to turn humanity into the ultimate weapon, an unstoppable force capable of subjugating every other species in the galaxy. At first, Alara had believed the Zothar's technology would help humanity harness their power for survival. But now, she could see the truth. The Zuthar had been using humanity as a pawn in their long-standing game of galactic domination. The ancient artifact, once thought to be a simple warning, was revealed to be something far more insidious. It was a carefully designed trap, crafted to awaken the dormant true nature of human resilience. The artifact had been designed to activate this ability in humanity, the ability to survive against all odds in the harshest environments. But there was a catch. This power wasn't a blessing, as humanity had once believed. It came at a terrible cost, the complete erosion of empathy, compassion, and the very essence of what it meant to be human. It was a monstrous survival instinct that left no room for mercy or understanding. It was the kind of destructive power that could obliterate entire civilizations without a second thought. Alara had felt a deep sense of betrayal as she realized the scale of the manipulation. The Zuthar weren't protecting humanity. They were planning to turn them into the ultimate force of destruction, to use humanity's violent history and nature as the perfect weapon in their campaign to dominate the galaxy. They had known all along that activating humanity's true nature would strip away the very essence of what made humans unique, turning them into something cold, ruthless, and unstoppable. It was then that Alara uncovered the full extent of the Zuthar's plans. The artifact wasn't simply a warning about a coming storm. It had been designed to provoke a transformation that would mold humanity into the perfect instrument of war, a force that would not hesitate to annihilate any who stood in its way. The Zuthar had played humanity like a chess piece, carefully positioning them for this very moment. Alara stood in the midst of the Zuthar research facility, her mind racing as she processed the weight of what she had learned. She had thought the Zuthar were the answer, that they were the key to saving humanity. But now, she saw the truth. The price of knowledge, of survival, was far too high. The Zuthar's solution was not salvation. It was subjugation, not just of other species, but of humanity itself. Her thoughts turned to the message in the artifact, the cryptic warning about the Immortal Deathworlders awakening. She had once believed that this referred to humanity's greatest strength, their ability to survive against all odds. But now she understood the storm was not the disaster she had feared. It was a reckoning. The storm was the moment when humanity's worst instincts would be unleashed. The storm was not a natural event. It was a trial of humanity's very soul. Alara now stood at a crossroads. The choice before her was impossible, yet the galaxy's fate hung in the balance. Should humanity embrace the Zuthar's offer and allow their true nature to be awakened, becoming a tool of destruction, a weapon of war that would forever alter the galaxy's power dynamic? Or should humanity reject the Zuthar's influence, refusing to let the legacy of Earth's chaotic history define their future? The decision was not simple. The Zuthar had given her the tools to unlock humanity's hidden potential, but at what cost? The price of survival was too steep, and as she looked around the research facility, Alara could almost feel the weight of the decision pressing down on her chest. Could humanity really face the coming storm without losing their humanity in the process? Alara had always believed that humanity's resilience was a gift. She had dedicated her life to studying the human spirit, to understanding how people could endure the most extreme conditions. But now she saw that this resilience, this survival instinct, was a double-edged sword. The very traits that had allowed humans to survive were also the ones that could destroy them. In a moment of clarity, Ella realized the full scope of humanity's immortal nature. It wasn't a blessing, it was a curse, a side effect of the violent and chaotic environment of Earth. The very traits that had allowed humans to rise above their environment were the same ones that could doom them. The destruction, the chaos, the lack of empathy, it was all a part of the legacy humanity had inherited. As she stood there, in the midst of the Zuthar's research, Alara realized that she was no longer just an observer. She had become a part of the machinery that perpetuated this dangerous legacy. And now, the choice before her was whether to embrace it or break free from it. With the truth now clear in her mind, Alara knew one thing: she could no longer stay with the Zuthar. The path they had set humanity on was not the future she had envisioned. There was another way, a way to confront the storm without losing everything that made humans human. But the path ahead would not be easy. It would require her to take a stand against the very powers that had once seemed like saviors. It would require a choice that could change the course of galactic history forever. And as Alara turned away from the Zuthar, she made her decision. The storm was coming, but humanity would not face it as monsters. They would face it as humans flawed, but capable of change. The day of reckoning had arrived. Alara stood at the heart of the Zuthar's hidden fortress, the artifact pulsating ominously before her. The once innocent research she had undertaken had led her here to this moment of reckoning. Her decision had been made, and the truth would be revealed. Humanity's dark legacy as the Immortal Deathworlders would no longer be manipulated, no longer used as a tool for galactic domination. In a tense confrontation with the Zothar, Alara had exposed their plan to weaponize humanity's nature. The Zuthar had been relentless, their sleek reptilian forms moving with calculated precision as they tried to sway her, to convince her that humanity's violent past was their only hope for survival. But Alara knew too much now. The pieces had fallen into place, and there was no going back. Humanity was never meant to be the weapon you think it is, Alara had said, her voice unwavering, even as she stood surrounded by the Zuthar's intimidating figures. Our strength doesn't lie in our violence, but in our capacity to change. Her words had been defiant, but they were also the truth. The Zuthar had long relied on fear, manipulation, and their own carefully cultivated control over other species. They believed that humanity's deathworld nature could be harnessed as a tool of destruction. What the Zuthar had never counted on, however, was the spirit of humanity itself, the very essence that no amount of manipulation could ever truly control. But as Alara disconnected the Zuthar's main control systems, disabling their plans for a galactic war, she knew that the cost would be high. The technology that had been so crucial to awakening humanity's true nature now sat before her. She could not simply disable it. She had to destroy it, ensure it would never be used again. It was the only way to prevent a future where humanity would become an unstoppable weapon, devoid of empathy or compassion. Her hand hovered over the activation button, and for a brief moment, she hesitated. The technology was powerful, dangerous, and she could feel its promise, its temptation. It could grant humanity an unimaginable strength. But that strength came at a price. It would strip away everything that made humans human. Alara knew that allowing such power to persist would be a betrayal of everything she stood for. With a deep breath, she pressed the button. The facility trembled as the technology flickered and powered down. The Zuthar's plans were undone, their vision of humanity's potential twisted beyond recognition, now extinguished. But as the lights dimmed and the last of the Zuthar's defenses crumbled, Alara felt the weight of the decision press down on her like never before. The cost of this victory was steep. The destruction of the Zuthar's manipulation meant that humanity's true nature would remain hidden, at least for now. The galaxy would not know the dark truth of humanity's violent past, nor would they know how close they had come to unleashing the ultimate weapon of destruction. But that didn't make the victory any less bittersweet. The war was over. The galaxy had been spared. But humanity was left with its own question. Alara left the Zuthar stronghold alone and weary, her mind a blur of conflicting emotions. She had done what she believed was right, but the burden of the decision would stay with her forever. Humanity had narrowly avoided a future where their reputation as the Immortal Deathworlders was used to justify their dominance over the galaxy. The manipulations, the betrayals, the lies, all of it had been undone. Yet, even with the Zuthar's defeat, the cost of their immortality was something that would never be truly forgotten. She returned to Earth, where everything had begun. The planet felt different now, almost alien in its simplicity. Alara had thought she would feel a sense of peace, of closure. But what she felt instead was a deep, profound emptiness. Humanity had been spared, but at what cost? Without the fear-driven reputation of immortality, without the false narrative of human superiority, they were left with a blank slate. They would have to forge their path in the galaxy without relying on the fear they had so carefully cultivated. But could they really do it? Could humanity move forward without the shadow of its violent past looming over them? The question gnawed at her. Was humanity capable of truly escaping its history, or was violence, chaos, and survival in their blood an intrinsic part of who they were? Alara had fought to prevent humanity from becoming the ultimate weapon, but now she wasn't sure what that victory meant. The galaxy had been spared from a war that would have devastated everything, but humanity's future was still uncertain. The legacy of their violent past could never be erased, no matter how hard they tried to change. Could they transcend their inherent nature, or would they always be shaped by it? As Alara pondered this, she received one last message from the Zuthar encrypted, hidden in a way that only she could access. It wasn't a threat. It was something far more unsettling. The message was a simple warning. The storm is not over. It has only just begun. Her pulse quickened as the message played out in her mind. The Zuthar had been right about one thing: the storm was coming. It wasn't a disaster. It wasn't a galactic war. It was something more insidious, a reckoning. Humanity's past, its violent nature, the very essence of its survival instinct, had not been eliminated. It had only been hidden, dormant for now. And when the time was right, it would awaken once again. Alara looked out at Earth, her heart heavy with the weight of that knowledge. Humanity had been given a chance, but would they rise to the occasion? Would they truly change, or would they fall back on their instincts, their violent legacy, when faced with adversity? The storm was not over. It was only just beginning. And humanity, for all its flaws and strength, would have to decide what kind of future they wanted to build. For now, the galaxy was safe, but for how long?